do now is we're going to talk a little bit about our runs for the day. All right, welcome back. We are going to talk a little bit about the Richmond. We're going to talk about JJ's run. We're going to talk about my run. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of actually get into the overall aspect of it, of the event. So it was. I will tell you right now, this was this felt almost as tedious as playing X-Wing like at Worlds. So I don't know, Alex. I know you didn't go with us, but next time. We had enough room at the hotel for you, baby. We should have just dragged your ass with us. It was so much fun.
I was shockingly free. 3 different people canceled my plans. My plans for that day was canceled. My backup plans were canceled. And my backup plans were canceled. I apparently could have gone.
I know, and it would have been so much fun. We would have had all 3 of us in the same room at the same time. Oh man, it would have been crazy. So if you had gone, what would you have ran? Trench?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably. I guess that or Palpatine. Probably Palpatine. I don't know. I would have made something.
Yeah. So just so you know, somebody took the trench deck there to that event. Just so you know, they did. So
and they won the entire thing with.
No,
it.
They did not. No, they definitely did not win the whole Richmond thing. I think they went 1-3 or 2-3 or something like that.
It's a tough deck.
Yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and kick it off. I'll kick it off with my run first. So essentially, I made 8-4. So I went 8-4. I made day 2 with the Vader deck. So this is my current Vader deck. I think we went over my Vader deck before, so I don't really know how much we really have to go through it. I can tell you the big changes I made to it is I cut out one of the Mining Guild ties. Well, I added Mining Guild ties in. There you go. I added them in, and then I went and I cut them down. I also cut Victor 3 down to 1 of, and I added a 3rd clone and a 3rd Geonosian to the board, which I will tell you the Geonosians, like having the 3rd one all day actually was beneficial. I thought it was BS and I would never use the 3rd one. But after I had the 3rd one, I actually found I liked the 3rd one in there so much more. Than I ever thought I would. My sideboard changed to thanks to Alex Frozen and Carbonite, which yes I did use actually three or 4 times.
Underrated card.
Yep, I sided it in more than one time. I would say if I played resupply in this deck, I might actually cut No Good to Be Dead and just go to Frozen and Carbonites and be done with it. I actually when I sub things out, I always pulled Victor 3 out. So Victor 3 came out every game, period. Like I played it when I had it, but when I had the sideboard stuff in, I just dumped that thing. Which I don't know. I don't know if that's the right call or not, but that was just an easy dump. I also added the salvage back and I added waylays back. Those are kind of the things. The waylays did not come in handy very often. Outmaneuvers came in handy almost all the time. It won me 2 games and lost me a game, which we could talk about in a little bit. And then the salvages were okay. They didn't perform like I thought they would. Those stupid Lurking Tie Phantoms, I don't know. Like I did not like them, but then I didn't face any like outside of Kira, I didn't face a bunch of blue. And like I just threw them on the table, and like when I played Cad, he couldn't ping it. Like he just sat there. It's like, yep, I'll ping this. And they're like, oh, that's sad. Oh, I guess I'm not going to activate my CAD trigger this time, And then you put Vader on it, and that's just stupid. Like it just becomes dumb if you put Vader on it. I won't say that they should be an auto include. I don't actually think that, but I do think there should be a discussion maybe around could they go back into mains. I think if we see more blue, it's not worth it though. Like it just dies. Like you just perilous position it and it's gone. You make it. Well, I saw 0 make an opening. But I did see they did have perilous position in the Kira deck, I think. So those were the changes. I will tell you, how how many times I saw Victor Leader this weekend? Less than 10.
Yep.
Less than 10. Yeah, I guess not. Yeah. Well, that's what it felt like because I just one game I pulled 3 of them in my opening hand. And it's like, what do? Do you keep it then? Like I have a turn 1 play, 3 Victor 3s, and No Good to Me Dead, and a surprise strike. Like I think you have to ship that hand. Like but then I felt dumb because I didn't see a Victor 3 again. Or Victor Leader, sorry, again. So this is what I faced. The first round I played a Mace red deck, which was not Tarkin Town, just Mace red straight up. The guy actually ended up making top 64 that day. Or the next day, and he ended up dropping after his first game loss, but he ended up getting the Mace Showcase, so like good on him. Like that was his goal. He wanted a Mace Showcase, and I will tell you, he told me he never saw unlimited power, and that was the big thing. Like he had unlimited power in his deck, and I was like, I don't know. Like by the time you hit 6 resources, I guess it becomes like super impactful, but like I won every game by 6 to 7, or like, but by the time he flipped his Mace, I could just do something to it. So, I don't know. Like, I don't know if his deck just didn't go off or if my deck just is a good counter to that. I have no idea. The next one I played was a CAD green, not ECL, just standard CAD green. And that unfortunately kind of felt like an easy win. I don't know if my opponent, he ended up making day 2 actually. My opponent did. So like, I mean, his deck does work. It just, I didn't like playing against CAD, but like against his CAD, like it didn't do a lot. Like I was able to build a board both games, and it just kind of like went downhill, I think, for him pretty quickly. Like he was able to do some McClunky shenanigans game 2. And then he started to race me, and it became a little bit more concerning, but you know, an OB on a clone squadron kind of fixes that. So when you can clear their cat off the board in another unit, that's not good usually for them. My third game was Quinlan Tarkin Town, and I lost. I lost the first round, won the second, lost the third, and I don't know 100% like if it was some misplays, if I was a little nervous, but they had more space units than Quinlan I've never seen in Quinlan. Like this guy had space units like you wouldn't believe. So, and he did afterwards tell me he did tech a little bit for this because he knew people running Vader yellow and thought that it would be a thing at this tournament. So he had more space units because of that. He also made day 2 with his deck. And it was funny because he used to be from a podcast called Arrowbrook Gaming from Destiny days. Like, so I don't remember what his name was off the top of my head, but he had an Arrowbrook Gaming that, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I kind of know, like I've heard of that podcast. I don't think I listened to it, but I kind of know what it is. So that was a hard fought loss. I was pretty depressed after that one, to be honest with you. Cause usually I don't lose that hard to Quinlan. But the fourth one, my game was against the Sabine ECL, and game 1 was no contest. Game 2 came down to the fact that I had a couple of outmaneuvers and some OBs, and I was able to stop him long enough to stop the game 3. So there's that. Game 5 was Gar yellow, and I'll be honest, I don't think with Vader yellow I've ever lost to a Gar yellow ever. I don't know why. I can't actually tell you why. I just have not lost to a Gar yellow. So, but yeah, that game, the first game again was like pretty heavy. I win. The second game was a little bit harder. He had some hotshot blasters, and I was able to sneak the last damages through I needed. Before that, then I played an Asajj Datavolt, which was a control deck. This guy's going to come on our podcast at some point. We're going to talk some Asajj. Nice. I loved his deck. Like I actually am very tempted to build that. Like I love Kira. Don't get me wrong, but man, this deck was like Kira, but like when Asajj comes out, it could just do things. I lost the first game because of snow. He was able to get snowed down. The second game, I raced harder and was fine. The third, and he didn't see any ramp, so that was part of the third game. He only saw one ramp, and then I still was able to kind of close it out before he could get enough damage in. But that guy will come. We will have an Asajj conversation because I'm excited for the next set. What Asajj is actually going to be. I actually think Asajj gets better with all the force crap coming out next set, and I actually think she's going to get better because of it.
Yeah, there's a couple locals local being, they're on Howl, so it's a little bit further away from me. They've been running like green and data vault Asajj, and it's just like, yeah, I get it. It's blue green control Asajj, chuck her on a Banshee, and she just wreaks havoc on everything.
Yeah, it can be really bad. Especially, I think, into aggro. I think that's where I think that's his sweet spot. But again, when we meet with him, we'll actually talk about it. Can you run Asajj in any other color, and like what's the best color for her? Because I just kind of want to play Asajj now. I think I just kind of like, I don't know. After that game, I just really want to play Asajj now. I don't know.
You can drop super laser tech and then immediately kill it with Asajj's ability.
You can. He did that.
It's silly.
Yep, did that to me. Like, I was like, why are you? Oh, I know why you're killing it. I was like, God damn it, you're just gonna ramp. Okay,
just do whatever I want. Yeah.
The 7th game, I don't know how much I should say, but the 7th game was against a Poe ECL. Yeah. I got the first game I handily took. Then they came up and wanted to do a deck check. And I had a dual deck box. One side had my Vader deck, and the other side had my Trench deck. Now, earlier in the day, around round 3 or 4, I gave cards out of my Trench deck to another player in front of a judge, unsleeved them in front of the same judge, and gave it to this guy. I had my deck box, everything was there. And anyway, long story short is, I had the promo cards that we had gotten for VIPs in my box, as well as my Trench deck, fully sleeved in a whole different set of sleeves, though. And they told me that I should have presented my sideboard to my opponent ahead of time and told them this is my sideboard because I had other cards in my deck. Now, I don't know very many people that can get away with unsleeving cards to re-sleeve them when they're completely different card sleeve. Like, one's Akbar, one's Grievous. They are different sleeves. But because I couldn't prove, and my opponent said he didn't remember me presenting my sideboard, even though I took my sideboard out, I literally took my sideboard out and set it on the table and then moved it to the top of my box, because that's what I like to do. Is I like to keep my sideboard there so I can immediately sideboard in my stuff. But because I opened my box, it took part of the sideboard that I had taken out and put it inside of the box. I was given a game loss. I guess that's the rule. So if you go to an event, do not take a double deck box. Just actually, I'll be honest with you. If I could sell mine, I'm just going to sell it. I don't care. Like, I'm done. Like, that's just, I argued with the judge. I asked for a head judge. I had a whole conversation with him how asinine this rule is. Like, I would understand if there was a whole like deck of unsleeved cards in there. I get it then. I 100% understand that. But every card is sleeved in a different sleeve. Like, come on. Like, you. But it's because they don't want the opponent to have to feel like they have to watch you when you sideboard. So you can only use the cards in that you are supposed to be in your box for your deck. So I won't lie and say I was pretty frazzled. And then I had some really bad draws, and he ended up winning by like 5 health. And so because I was given a game loss, he won the round. So.
Yeah, I remember that. I felt for you, bro, because that sucked.
Yeah,
that really sucks.
Yeah. The worst is like the opponent had the ability to just say that he saw the sideboard or could have just done it, and he didn't. And, you know, I guess I'm not going to throw shade on anybody. We're going to talk when I get to day 2. We'll actually talk about another deck incident that happened to my opponent, and I fought for him because I felt bad for him. I did not want to win that way. Like, that's not fair in my opinion for it. But anyway, I took a game loss, and then I lost the 3rd round for that one. And then I went on to play an Obi Data Vault, and I don't think he'd ever played against a Vader before. So I genuinely usually don't like seeing Obi Data Vault, but I don't think he knew how to play against Vader because both those games went pretty quickly for me. And so, yeah, then I made day 2. And then my day 2, my first round was against a mirror match. And somebody in the same Discord that knew what my list was already. So you want to know what game went to time? That game. Those are the only games that went to time. Just so you know ahead of time.
I'm kind of impressed by that, actually. Like, why did that go to time?
because in a mirror match you're trading, like we traded so many times.
Sure.
It just took forever. Well, we did have an issue where we had to call a judge, and like so it took like them like 5 minutes to fix the issue, but we both missed the trigger with his Victor leader, and so I killed one of his ships to uncapture a ship of mine, and it shouldn't have died. And then he used Mining Guild Tie and drew a card, and then he shuffled the cards in his hand. So then it's like, which card is it? You know, and so what the judge essentially did is I picked a random card and put it back on the top of his deck, and then we just kind of reversed the scenario. And then I decided instead of swinging into the ship that I couldn't kill, I swung into his base. So I will say he won the first game because of that. Probably the second game I won very handily. The third game, like it was literally just like we were attacking each other back and forth, and then like he had enough to be able to kill 3 of my ships in one turn, and that just was the end of it for me. I couldn't do anything. So
it always seemed like whoever just drew the clone squadron first would just win, but maybe not the case.
Yeah, you would think that, and neither one of us saw OB all 3 games. None of us had OB the whole.
That would be why your games went to time. Never mind. Okay,
we didn't like.
Could have just started with that.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even resource the OB. Like we just never saw it. We each run 3 of them, so like it just didn't exist for us. So I do think he thought I was crazy because I flipped my Vader on the ground, which actually I do that. I don't know if this is like an Alex rub off of hanging out with Alex too much. Doing something your opponent just doesn't ever expect, and then that wins you games that you shouldn't win. Like I don't know if it's you who've rubbed off on me, but I flip my Vader on the ground more often than not. Outside of like the OB match, obviously I did not do that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it works.
Yeah, people don't know what they get very confused why your Vader is on the ground all of a sudden. It's like, well,
I did that too in my playthroughs, and people are like, I had a guy, I made him pass 7 turns in a row because I had that many plays, and then he was just hanging on to his single bamboozle on his card, and I'm like, okay, and now deploy Vader on the ground. They're like, oh, claim.
I don't need those TIE fighters, sir. I'm swinging in.
Exactly, like that's what it was. Or I throw them on the ground and then use the OB for it. And yes, it's a little bit less damage, but like at least you can't bamboozle, like, or you can bamboozle them, but it doesn't do anything. I still go OB. Yeah. It doesn't put them away. So, like,
and it's still 7 damage
a 7 damage Vader on the ground with OB. Like it's still really useful. Like it's great.
So my 10th game was against a Kylo Tarkatown. Yes, I had to face both the top cut Kylo Tarkatown. Somehow, I have no idea how that happened. But yeah, so the first game, he won pretty easily. I didn't see much of anything. We sideboarded in, and guess what? The judge just came over and wanted a jet check again. And I looked, and it's the same guy from the day before. And I looked at him, I was like, man, you did this to me yesterday. But I had already like gone down to 1 deck pod. Like I had multiple deck pods with me. So I just switched all my stuff out and put it in one. So I didn't have to like run into the same issue again. Well, it took them 10 minutes. They come back and my opponent's just sitting there, and I look at them, and then all of a sudden they're like, they pull them aside. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, what happened now? I'm going to get screwed again. Did I somehow miss a card? Well, he had 1 less card in his deck than he was supposed to. So he was running a 49 card deck. So I felt bad for him. I was like, oh, come on. You guys cannot give him a game loss for that. Like, that felt bad. And you know what the card was? It was aggression, too. So it's not like a card you would cut to make your deck like better. Like, that's a card in that deck you don't ever get rid of. Like, you must have that card. And so, yeah, they gave him a game loss. And I asked them, I was like, hey, I'm fine if you don't give him a game loss and we just play the game like normal. And they said they couldn't do that, I guess. So, and he was pretty disheartened after that, I think. And I think that's probably why I won that second game pretty easily, is because at that point I think he just had resigned to give up at that point. Because he felt bad. And I was like, hey, man, don't worry about it. I was like, I told him my story. Like, we're sitting there laughing about my story. I was like, I mean, there you go. It's the same thing happened, except for, like you were just missing a card. Then I played Kira Dadavault, and it was this younger kid. I don't know how young he was, but his dad was there, and I guess his dad listens to the podcast, ironically enough. So
people listen to the podcast?
Yeah, like he's like, you're from Planning Phase, right? And I was like, yes, because I changed my name in Melee from Planning Phase to Tanner. That way, I didn't have to like explain to people why it said that. Like, it was just easier. And anyway, so I played this kid, and he sat down. It was the same thing. Like, he sat down. He's like, "Oh man, I'm not going to win this one." I'm like, "You can't give up before you play the game." He's like, "Yeah, I just played a Vader 4 and I didn't do very well." I was like, "It's fine. Just play it out. Like, let's play it out." And yeah, like, it didn't go his way very, very easily. And then I found out he doesn't even run Snoke in his 60 cards. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, and not in your sideboard? Oh, okay. All right. Well, you might want to put Snoke in. That might be something you immediately do when you get home. But I don't think he had played very many games against Vader Yellow either. Like, he did side in some like Sentinel type stuff the second game, but I could capture it, and it didn't really work out in his favor that well. And yeah, once I stuck a clone, I think I confused him a little bit because he flipped his Kira with no other units on the board, doing damage to my units. And of course, I don't care because like I have no damage. And he had to. I assumed he had an OB, so I also had an OB, and I OB'd a 2 attack unit, and killed his Kira. And he's like, "Oh, you spent 5 resources to do that?" I was like, "Yeah, well, I didn't want you to OB me, so I got rid of your Kira." He's like, so essentially, game 1 I just raced, and then game 2 I controlled. So I just switched my philosophy on how I was handling it, and figured that would be enough to kind of throw him off. And it did. Once I killed his Kira, then I felt really bad for him. I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what else you got, but hopefully you get something." And then like every time he put a unit down, I would just kill it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take longer for the game. Just hope you don't have Snoke." Is what I'm gonna do. And then my last round was against a Kylo Red Tarkaton, who also happened to be his testing buddy, or part of his group was the other Kylo Tarkaton, ironically enough. I feel very bad that I lost this game. He drew every round. He drew 2 fallen lightsabers within the first 2 turns. I do not know how that happened, but he was able to lightsaber somebody on turn 2 and turn 3 every single game. And like, there's not much you can do against like a unit that stings in for 6 plus you just can't control the board that much. It's just almost impossible. But that game, yes, I did win because I got a clone Horgent down, and I flipped Vader on the ground, and he had nothing that could take Vader out. So I was just able to OB and clear his board. I just swung into his board and controlled him, and then just did small damage. The game I won. The last game I was doing very well, except for I had to eat one. I didn't get a capture unit or a tap down unit in one of my hands, and I couldn't do anything about his freaking Mr. Bones with a lightsaber on it. And so I was able to I ended up the last turn, like my Vader flip turn, I was able to no good to me. Oh, no, he swung in with Kylo, and I was able to capture his Mr. Bones. And the only other unit he had on board was Fifth Brother. And I had lethal on board. Like, I had Clone Squadron, I had Victor, I had lethal on board. All I had to do is flip Vader in case he had something to kill Vader. And he swung in and put me at 2 damage on base. And I was like, he's got no other units. Unless he has a Daring Raid, I win. And he had a Ruthless Raider.
That'll do it too.
I was like, oh. And the worst part about that whole thing was not him. He was a great opponent. Actually, he was a really nice guy, and all that. But the worst part about the whole thing is the guy I lost to in my 9th round. He was another Vader yellow player, and he had, like, I thought he had a better record than me. So I'll be honest, when I played the Kylo Tarkaton, I was just like, I'm not going to get the showcase. He drew his last round. If I had won, I would have got the showcase. So I was like, because I just figured because he beat me, like, even if we ended up with the same record, he'd win. But he drew, so he didn't, like, even if I had won and he had won, he still would have got it. But because he drew, I would have been 9-3, and he would have been 8-2-2, and I would have got the showcase. So
damn,
I'm a little bummed about my performance in that last round, but
it happens, man.
What do you do? So that was my run. I don't know. It's fun. I like this deck. I don't know. It's a little out of my realm, though. I really want to kind of go back to control. I miss my control.